As farmers protested in front of the Polish parliament today, the ruling coalition was in the process of rejecting a resolution that was written by the farmers themselves. The government declares its willingness to hold talks and assures the farmers that they are understood, but their actions suggest otherwise. To make matters worse, Prime Minister Donald Tusk was not even present in the same chamber today. On Tuesday, Law and Justice submitted a draft resolution to the same Speaker's office regarding the situation of Polish farmers. Speaker Szymon Hołownia referred it for a reading in the committee appointed to deal with the matter. Law and Justice filed a motion today to join the session and place the resolution on the agenda. Prepared by the farmers themselves, who are telling us today that they asked that someone from the Ministry of Agriculture bring the resolution here. But neither Kołodziejczak nor Krajewski dared to do it. 190 deputies of Law and Justice, Confederation and Kukiz 15 voted in favour of the resolution, in favour of the so-called Lex Rolnik, while 236 deputies of the parties forming the government coalition voted against. Both Agriculture Minister Czesław Siekierski and Deputy Ministers Michał Kołodziejczak and Stefan Krajewski voted against. The document called on the government to meet the strikers' two most important demands. One, the introduction of a total embargo on agri-food products that do not meet EU production standards from Ukraine as well as other non-European Union countries. Two, to oppose the European Union's climate policy, which will lead to the destruction of Polish and European agriculture. So, once again, as farmers rallied in front of Prime Minister Donald Tusk's office, the ruling coalition rejected the resolution written by the farmers themselves. This is symbolic. Let's be honest, it's not just about Ukraine. It's mostly about imports from the East. From what we hear, most of the goods are coming from Russia, and they are probably the ones who care most about the kinds of excesses happening here. Farmers are protesting the uncontrolled influx of agri-food products from the East. Their cereals have flooded the European market, hitting the markets of countries bordering Ukraine, namely Poland, the hardest. As a result, they have led to a drastic undercutting of prices. This ton of wheat, in order to be profitable to produce, should cost 1,300 zlotys. Meanwhile, it sells for 600. The farmer no longer has anything to cultivate the land for. Well, because what is he going to sow? Rapeseed? Wheat goes for a very low price. Well, what's he going to live on? Well, it simply won't pay to go into the fields. More and more trade unions and social groups are joining the protests. The demonstration in the centre of Warsaw today was attended by farmers, the labour union Solidarity, foresters, beekeepers, builders and hunters. Prime Minister Donald Tusk invited farmers to talks on Saturday. He didn't meet them today, and as we mentioned before, he wasn't even present at the same. Minister Dorożała, who is in charge of agriculture talks, more often with NGOs, colleagues whom we call eco-terrorists than he does with us. Farmers are demanding the withdrawal of the Green Deal project. Among the tenets of the policy is to force 4% of the land to be kept fallow. But that's just for starters. The target is to increase this to 10%. And that means taking away 1,800,000 hectares of land from farmers in Poland. In turn, under the EU's Common Agricultural Policy, 25% of agricultural land is to be set aside for organic farming as early as 2030. This will cost huge amounts of money. Farmers are up against the wall. As far as Poland is concerned, that's a cost of 220 billion in additional outlays per year, and for several decades. Protesters enjoy unprecedented support. According to polls, 78% of Poles overwhelmingly support the farmers' protests. As many as 68% of the residents in large cities such as Warsaw, Łódź and Krakow support the farmers' demands. Even Legia Football Club fans made a special banner in a gesture of support. Because this Green Order will come after them and others. If we look today at this ban by President Trzaskowski on tractors entering Warsaw, we see how the authorities approach these issues. The Green Deal policy, for example, is defended by Poland 2050 leader Szymon Hołownia, who works with the Polish People's Party as part of the Third Way. We will defend the Green Deal. Farmers are one of the last significant professional groups left that have some independence and private ownership. EU policy seeks to destroy agriculture as we know it and instead offers us goods produced, for example, in South America or Ukraine. Agriculture there is mostly owned by large multinational holding companies. Limiting the group of farmers in the dimension of their civic function, a specific group of people who are independent from the bosses, is also part of this political puzzle. Farmers and all protesting labour groups indicate that they will not withdraw strike action until the government throws the Green Deal into the trash and regulates the import of goods from the East. Łukasz Muda, Telewizja Republika.